Hard times build character.
This isn't just a show, this is real life. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
You gotta see it before anyone else can see it.
Every second, every minute, every day.
We train for life. We got you.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Relentless Way podcast, season number 4, episode number 5. Hard work rises to the top. Paul Alvear, who are my longtime friend and business partner, Matt Strout. We are here just to continue to represent the Relentless Way, to give our listeners and our viewers some good, authentic energy, which we vow to bring to the table every episode that you listen to. So today we just want to really touch back on hard work. We know obviously it's something we talk about all the time, but we wanted to make it the center focus today. When you're listening, we want, hopefully this, it's going to be a shorter episode, but for you to feel some good juices, some good energy to help you, get that ball rolling again or keep that ball rolling in whatever direction it may be for you. So hard work is at the center of it all. We have some great reflections, some great stories we want to tell and to touch on, right?
Yeah, I think, something for us, hard work has always been a topic that has come up throughout the whole journey. It's something I think that has helped define us from the beginnings. I think it's one of those things that I think we had before we kind of had anything else, like the intangibles, they could say, right? Where now we go out of our way to make sure we're educating ourselves and working on different things. But I think that was one thing that was just in us, from whether it be our uprooted roots from watching our families and seeing just the way that they operated on day-to-day basis, from playing sports and competing, and probably just a mixture of all that stuff. But being able just to work hard, like putting your head down and just working. I know I personally grew up between doing, hardscape work, landscape work, snow removal, and then getting into other things. I mean, it was hard work, you know what I mean? It was like true old school hard work where you show up and you just put your head down all day and you worked. I was a young kid out there and I was just, kind of just doing whatever it was. But the lessons that I acquired through those times in my life was like, sometimes in life this is your task and you should just do this task and you do it to the best of your ability. And I think, that is something that we like to always try to bring up, because that is something that can always beat anything, right? Like if you don't know something or you want to learn something new, you step into it. And as long as you know that you trust yourself and you trust your work ethic and you're not going to give up, you're going to get better. Yeah. Because everything from there is just lessons on lessons on lessons, and it starts compounding.
And that's going to get your foot in the door with a lot of things you do. I want to start it off going a little deeper, talking about the generations that are coming up and the next generation, for a lack of better words. A lot of them get a bad rap. A lot of people give them a bad rap. They talk about how they're lazy and they don't want to work and they just want to sit around. They want to do everything on social media and on the internet. And to me, I don't think a lot of those things that people are saying truly defines them, right? And I think the mistake that's made is, number one, the people that are talking to them that way, right? Yeah. And those are people from our generation and older that are talking to them and constantly telling them that, using their generation as an example of you're gonna be nothing. They're lazy. They sit around. They don't do what we used to do. I think the fact of the matter is that it's different, right? And that's what we have to truly understand, is that it's different. Hard work for sure has a place everywhere.
Yep.
Right? But just because you're not familiar with the certain things that kids are doing nowadays, or this next generation is doing, because you're not comfortable with social media, because you're not comfortable maybe being on a camera like we are right now, or talking into a microphone, or you're not comfortable recording yourself or creating content, new age content, right? That doesn't mean that people aren't working hard doing it. That doesn't mean that they don't have a hard work ethic. We see that a lot within our team, within our coaches on our team of the younger generation, how over the years we have forced ourselves to be more innovative and open-minded, and using that tool and skill of listening to them, and then teaching them and reminding them that hard work goes with it, and watching what they do with that, right?
No, that's definitely true. I mean, we are blessed with our young squad. I mean, I think the youngest right now is 20 years old. You know, we got a young buck intern coming in the mix that's going to be joining the squad over the next few months or so as well. He's 18, but he lives the relentless way, and we've watched that over a little bit. And we bring it in, but yeah, I mean, I think one thing you said is very true, is that things are just different, you know? And I think one of the big things too is, like, there's a lot of different ways to be successful and to make to create a livelihood for yourself. You know, like, it doesn't need to be one, it's not black or white anymore. Like, there's a lot of gray areas, you know, and it doesn't need to be this or that. It could be this and that, right? And so, like, there's so many different dynamics, I think, now. And I think the cool thing is that the world has taught us that, like, there is a lot of freedom. There's a lot of different things you can do, and if you're passionate and you work hard, you could also make money and be successful and live a life that you desire, right? You put those things together. The one thing that I do think, though, that really stands out is I think the young generation, they want to be a part of something. Like, they don't really necessarily want to just waste their time. They are purpose driven. They like to feel like they're being involved, they're being heard, they're adding to something. And I think that's cool, honestly. Like, you and I have had that our whole lives, right? And we've always carried that from 10, 12 years ago when we started getting involved in this. And I think the young generation that really understands it, they feel like they're a part of something, they're working towards something, whether it be to grow that company or that unit they're with, or to grow themselves individually. They see that picture and they see how it stacks, and, like, they don't want to waste their time. Time is fast. You know, that generation grew up quick, but it's a gift and a curse, right? So, like, one of the other things we try to do is teach, like, aggressive patience. Like, there is a time to, if you need something, you go on your phone, you order it, and you have it tomorrow. Yeah, that's cool. But there's also a time where you got to let things grow and build and evolve over time. So I think one of the things we try to do is kind of be connected, because we do have a good connection with the older generation and the younger generation. We're right in the middle. We have a lot of great people in our lives, and we're always listening. So I think one of the things we try to do is connect the good from the older and the good from the younger, and then try to find that sweet spot in between. You know, and I think there's a lot of good to take from both of them. But I don't think it's, like you said earlier, it's not like right or wrong. It's just different.
Yep. I believe that that's where some disconnect happens too, right? Is that nowadays everything is so easily to access. Everything is so is able to be formed a lot faster. For example, if you go and get a job, you could be hired and starting and working, and you're trusted right away because there is so much opportunity out there, right? You know, back in other times, maybe it was like you had to know someone, you had to talk to them. It took time to evolve, as like you're saying. It took weeks, it took months to evolve to get that opportunity. And then you had to prove that time in for you to be trusted and to be loyal to whatever you're doing, right? Nowadays, an employer, someone that's hiring or bringing someone on the team to work, right, in the workforce, could easily see your history, where you worked. They could call references. There's so much more access to things like that. So in places where maybe we believe that this next generation has the upper hand and the access to it, there's also a lot more pressure too, because these people know everything about you, and it may be a second chance, but is it truly a real second chance when they're thinking, or they know what you did in the past and maybe you made a mistake, or maybe they see that you left a couple jobs and they don't really know the reasons why. So to my point is communicate, right? Even with the younger generation and with people that are coming up and you know, these boys and girls turning to young men and women through the college ranks and through the workforce is to always communicate. I think that could help open up the door and not disguise your work ethic and your ability to grow through putting in that time and putting in that energy in those hours. So many times I forget where it was the other day, I was talking to, it might have been a family member or a friend, and they were telling a story, an example about about their daughter who just started in college, and they called them from the bathroom at one of the local university. Actually, called them from the bathroom and said, whoever it was, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I'm on the phone right now. I'm in the bathroom at school right now." It was like week 1 of college. I didn't do an assignment. I almost completed, but I fell asleep while I was doing it. It was late. So I submitted it all together, but I don't think it's my best work, right? I'm just really nervous about it, and now the professor's gonna think that I'm not a good student, all this stuff, right? But the fact of the matter is this person's in the bathroom, this probably 18, 19-year-old girl is in the bathroom calling her parents and panic, right? When the reality is this: if you just go and communicate with that professor and tell them the honest truth, hey, it's week 1, I was up late, I was working my ass off on it. You could see all that stuff nowadays. You could see what time they submitted it, you could see when everything was worked on. I did everything that I can, but what I want to ask is if there's more room for improvement, to give me a chance to go in and work on it and better myself with it, right? Because the reality was, the back end of the story is when she did go walk back into class, the professor said, all right, everything's handed in. This first project, we're going to do peer review. Your peer is going to review it, and everyone's going to get a shot to get better and work on it, right? So my point is like, I think in that moment, what that individual was not allowing the higher up, or their boss, their manager, their professor, their leader, to not see is that they do work hard, right? They were potentially allowing that professor to see that they get nervous, they get anxious, they panic, and they expect everything to be done for them because they call mom and dad, right? But the reality is that girl is a hard worker, and she has that in her, and she has that ability, and she's done it her whole life. But because certain other intangibles that weren't taught to her, it could have been perceived that there's a lack of that, right? And that goes to, we were talking about pre-show. What are those intangibles that can help you elevate your hard work ethic? What are other characteristics and things practices that we could do in our everyday life, and that we do to allow you to be freer with your work ethic and just be able to kind of, for lack of better words, hit the pavement and go to work, right?
I mean, my 2 favorite are time and energy management. It's really understanding where I'm putting my time and my energy personally. And I think definitely over the past year to 2 years, we both have stepped up our ability to manage time. And I think when you manage time and you have control of different time and different things, it allows you to feel in control of these different things, right? Yep. Communication, obviously, like you just said, that's a huge one. I think the ability to be honest with yourself and to use self-awareness. Right. I just actually had a really great conversation yesterday with a younger generation girl of myself. And two things came up, and I was like, I have to be honest with you right now. But 2 other things were, one of them was that she made a statement where she feels like she had her first year of college. She still doesn't feel like she knows what to do or where to go type deal, and she just doesn't feel which I get that, that's a tough thing. It's
a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure in your life, and you're feeling like you don't know what's going on, right? I get that. But she was so afraid to try anything because she made the comment is because she's so concerned about whatever, she didn't say it straight up, I said it, but she's so worried about not trying something and it not working out, and then whatever the perception
what
of
everybody else thinks, right?
And I'm just like, oh, that kills me because it's who cares? Really, it's go out and try everything, and when you know that it's for you and it's the thing, then that's the thing, right? And then you're good. And then another thing she said, because she was contemplating more of a trade and skincare and whatnot, was that it's just concerning because when you go to something like that, then it becomes the only way that you could be special or stand out or make a lot of money is that you have to be the best or great at it. And I'm
but is that true though?
Well,
right.
Number one, to an extent, but I also said,
you got to be good at it. You got to be great at it.
I said, but what does that even mean? Don't you want to do something and then become great? And she's like, well, yeah. I said, that's competing. If you were to do something anything that I do, I'm like, okay, I want to do this better. It doesn't matter what it is. That I think is something that you and I had, but we've definitely groomed it and cleaned it up over the time where we know where we're competing or when we're just competing, where it's our own internal competition, where it's hey, I just did this, and you know what? Next time I'm gonna do that, and it'll be a little bit better, right? But it's that dedication to self, dedication to craft, or dedication to anything where you're not afraid to do it, assess it, reflect on it, then go back and make it better and say, hey, you know what? We can compete. Competing is fun.
Let that hard work ethic take over,
100%.
right?
Let that take over because you're not going to get anything the first time. You have to work through things. So if you tie the ability to compete and not be afraid, as well as with your hard work ethic, it's unstoppable, And
we see it often. I think one thing that we've done within the Relentless Movement is we've always tied into and kept that competitiveness. We're not afraid to challenge people. And when I say challenge people, I don't mean make them do something crazy physically. I'm not talking about them, jumping on a high box or lifting the most weight in the gym.
Nope.
Right? I'm talking about challenging themselves within their own daily doings, their own daily, whatever's in front of them, through their programs, through their workouts, through their livelihood with their family, their kids, whatever it may be, right? And I think that's a tool that as a team, we've constantly ingrained in each other in certain moments to say, when push comes to shove, go back to the drawing board and challenge them to challenge themselves. Because it means something to you, of course, and it may mean something to them to not let you down and to be competitive and to complete something for you. But the reality is they want to complete it for you. They want to complete it for you, but deep down it's for them, right? That's what's going to be able to open you up and allow you to perform the way that you can and at your highest level and highest ability. And I think about, many situations of there's certain members, obviously you get your people that come through the door and they're all about that, and they're your high performers in a sense of accepting competitiveness, right? But then there are certain people that it's deep inside them because everyone is able to compete, but like you just said about that example, they're afraid, right? And they're afraid of competing at the littlest things. They're afraid of competing in a conversation. They're afraid of having a high energy, intense, in quotes, maybe competitive conversation.
Yeah.
Because they don't think it's gonna go right. They're afraid what the person's gonna think and say to the next person.
Yeah.
They're afraid how the other person's gonna feel, how they're gonna feel after. When the reality is if you're just being real and respectful and communicating in the right way or competing in the right way, there's no one could truly ever lose, right?
Exactly.
Right? The things that we're talking about that people compete at and you really truly lose, those are really games. Those are games, right? These athletes, these high level athletes, high level anything that the reward is winning with a league or a competition or like an organized competition.
Right.
Most of them are still getting paid, win, lose, or draw.
Right.
Most of them are still having success, win, lose, or draw. Because there's guys that you might watch one of the best Super Bowls or NBA Finals or World Series that you ever see, and there has to be a decisive winner and loser on paper, of course. But the fact is that everybody's doing what they love. Everybody's competing. Everyone's operating at a high level, from the fans in the front row to the top of the stadium, and having success and being able to bring passion and joy to life, right? So when you boil that down to the ground and not to those levels, we should take more concern, more time, and take it more seriously of competing in our daily doings rather than focusing on our favorite teams winning, losing, or drawing, right? Because that's truly survival, right? Our wins and losses at a ground level, at the level that most of us are at, as far as not talking about what people are going to see or what's going to be out there in the world, it means a lot more to us inside our worlds than anyone else. So I think it's important to be able to take on that competition, like you're saying, for the littlest things, and we put those challenges in front of our members, our community, each other. That's important too, right? The person to the right or left of you. We challenge ourselves every single day. We compete with each other, for each other, and not motivate, but bring that to the table to each other to allow us to elevate our business, our life, and what we do, right?
Yeah, that was all well said. A couple things there, a couple good points that I want to add to. Let's see where I want to start this. I had like 3 things.
Competitiveness,
yeah. To compete. No, this was good. Hold on. I'll find it, but I'll talk about competitiveness. But I feel like going back to that conversation, right, is the ability to break down what true competition is, like what you were saying with this young generation girl that I was talking to, is like to be able to break that down right there was very well said, because there's different levels. Like you're looking at it this way, this game, but you're really like playing this game. So it's like, why, like we're not even in this over here. You could be over here. And I think, oh, this is it. I found it. The ability to have pride in competition, right? Pride in who you are, your name, what you stand for. That was what I want to bring to the table. Like pride. Like, where is the pride in like who you are and what you stand for? And it doesn't need to be for nobody else. It needs to be for you.
yourself.
Like the ability, like for me now at this point, it's like constantly evaluating and the pride and the legacy that I can bring of my name, of myself as a son, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a teammate, as a leader. Like when you look at all those different levels, like where is it at? Like what can you go, how do you go to that next level, right? It's separated by work ethic, I do believe. I think work ethic, but also understanding. This was the other thing I broke down after conversating with this girl. I finally said, what is the vision that, like, who is it that we want to be? Because this is the part that I feel is getting lost, right? It's like going to a destination, right? If you can't plug something into a GPS if you don't know the address. So I think there's a lot of like just like walking around over here, over there, like, and it's like, why don't we all just sit for a second? It's like, what is the perfect world vision of what you perceive yourself being? What do you look like? How do you sound? Who you're surrounded with? What are the things you're doing? How are you spending your time? Let's look at that over here first. Then let's get this all written down. Then let's create a plan now to where we are now to get there. Okay? Another thing there, I just found it again, right? I'm a huge advocate of Andy Frisella's podcast. He just had a Q&A recently, and so the question was, when do you get to the point that you just love all the problems and all the issues and all the stuff? And he's like, guys, listen, you don't really ever get to the point where you love them. Like a problem is a problem. Like who loves problems? But he said you get to a point where you understand that it's a lesson. He goes at this position for him, he's been in business over 20 years now. We're in our 11th year. But it all starts making much more sense as we get a little bit more wisdom and a little more experience. But you just stop for a second and you say, okay, what am I learning here? Like, so now me and you.
What am I going to get from this?
What am I getting from this? Right?
It's happening inevitably, or it happened already. This is the damage that it's going to do, whether it be big or small. Now, what are we going to not just learn from it, but how are we going to grow from it? Right?
That's it. What are we going to apply? What are we going to take out? What are we going to add? What are we going to change? But ultimately, like, if you know what your vision is, what you're fighting for, you're never just going to give up in that moment because you know it's just a lesson to get you closer. Like,
and it means so much to you.
And it means so much. So I think it's a twofold thing is like understanding what you're fighting for every day. Like what is that? What does it look for? Like what does it look like and what are you doing it for? To have some pride and to not be afraid to compete. You know, it's like if you put those things together, and this is the piece that I settled at with her, was it's very important that you delegate and own your own time and energy, because if you're going around the wrong people, the wrong stuff, you get fixated or sucked into the wrong things. You know, there's that good old saying, if you hang out with 5 criminals, you're going to be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 successful, hardworking people, you're going to be the 6th, right?
Because you gotta fill your own cup.
Exactly. You have to be doing that. So I think too, it's like, number one, this is why we do what we do, right? To be an advocate leader inside of our community, to have a place for our people to come to, right? And that's why we always say, like, if you guys know anybody that could benefit from this, put it out there, share it away. But like, that is what it comes down to, is being around like-minded individuals that are not afraid to sit and be like, yo, remember, I told the story to her about our yoga studio lesson. I told her that whole story. That was a good, expensive lesson that we had. But we've learned a lot of great things from it, right? And that also brought us to where we are today. We're sitting here in Bradley Beach in this beautiful location that Paul and I didn't say, whoa, we can't take another chance.
Because this happened.
Because this happened. No, we said, okay, what did we learn last time we did something similar?
So true.
And what are we going to apply? How are we going to learn? How are we going to start with this Bradley experience, where this yoga experience ended, right? Like, let's take all the good, the bad, and then like, let's pick this puppy up right where we have all this, and now let's run. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that already, and we keep trying to do better and better. So it's like, the only way to get this stuff is to go out there and do it. You gotta fall. It's like, we both have babies. If we stopped our babies when they were learning how to walk the first or second time they fell, what would they do? Just crawl around their whole life? They're like, no, come on, get up, you got it. Like, so it's a lot of that, you know?
And it's continuing to put in the time and energy, and I'm glad you took the little moment before to think of to talk about the dreamers a little bit, right? Because that's a big point I wanted to bring up is you know, the dreamers, we're all dreamers in one way or another, right? We all have dreams, we all have visions, we all have, what I like the word you use the best is a destination, right? A true destination, to be able to plug that in, because that's where it needs to be, if you ask me. That's where it needs to start, stay, and end, is focused on that a destination, right? Something more hard and strong and firm, right? Because one thing, going back to the generation, and I don't want to pick on them, I want to highlight what they do well.
Yeah.
What they do well, these upcoming generations and the youth to these days, is they dream. They have been told that nothing can stop you. You could do whatever you please. You could live the life you want to live, and this is America and it's free. But at the same time, they don't show you and tell you about all the speed bumps, all the roadblocks, and all the hard work that it's going to take to do that, right? Unless you see it with your own eyes or you're led by example from someone else. Because you reading a book or hearing a story over and over can never truly give you that feel of you going to chase your dreams or to reach that final destination, right? So my point is that I think maybe it's something we need to implement and focus more on, which we have done over the years, is helping people see that dream, to write that dream down, to feel that dream, like you said, to be able to touch it, to be able to taste it a little bit, enough for you to hold your pride high and continue to go after that and make it real, right? It doesn't have to be 100% fulfilled. It could be 1%. That full bar, that full cup could be 1% filled. And it could take you your whole entire life to reach 100%, but you just need to taste it a little bit to know that it's real and that it's firm, and then hold your pride right along with it, right? Because we see too many people dream lightly, right? We see too many people say, I'm just using an example, I'm gonna own a gym one day. That was always my dream. But then two weeks later, a month later, I wanna be into crypto. I wanna crush it on the crypto thing. I wanna be a social media influencer, right? And it's the same person just having all these dreams because they're not really dreaming, right? They're not truly plugging in that final destination and truly sitting down and telling themselves and reminding themselves what they truly want, what they truly want, what they truly desire, and they truly want to go and get. And it's okay if that changes. I'm not saying that it's never gonna be a straight line, right? But my point is I think we've gotten the mode of being told that we could dream so big, and then when it all falls down, we don't address where we go from there, right? We leave. A lot of kids in our generation now have experienced failure at a high level at a young age because the access is there, and they don't know how to handle that, right? And they don't know how to parlay and turn that into the work ethic, the grit, the grind, the pushing through those moments to continue to, like you said, hold your pride high and get to that destination, right?
Yeah, two things. Tim Grover has a great quote that I like that goes with what you're saying, but he says, I'm not going to say it word for word, but basically, when you get knocked down, generally his motto would be to get back up. But recently he made a quote where he said when he coaches his people, he says, when you get knocked down, stay down there for a little bit. Stay down there and feel what's going on. Feel it. Right. Think about it. Reflect on it. So when you get back up, you have those lessons internalized so that you know that you can get back up stronger before pushing forward. Second thing is that I am a true example of dreaming, visualization, and manifestation. And as of recently, I've been doing a lot of reflecting, but the ability to manifest and create is true, and it is real. But the secret sauce that I do believe that has helped me take it to the next level is creating. It's creating, okay? Because it's the same as 168 hours in the week. There's 24 hours in the day. It is creating alone time for yourself. You must have time alone with no interaction to search inside of your own mind and your own thoughts to find out, like you said earlier, who actually are you and what do you actually desire? What is it that you see? Because you need that time. And I think too many people these days are afraid to be alone or to be like, what do you do when nobody's watching? Right? Like, how do you live when nobody's watching, right? And I think it's something that everyone should take a lot of pride in. And I'm a huge advocate of priming, we call it, right? Which is getting up very early in the morning and starting your day for you first before entering the external world. Right. And I think I heavily recommend that to anybody, whether it be even just getting up a little earlier and taking 10, 15 minutes and sitting quietly in a dark area and just closing your eyes and seeing. Like, you could go far away. Like, and as of recently, this is why I'm talking about this, is over the past year, I've truly taken this from my own personal self to a whole different level. Like, I'm seeing things far away and I'm coming back and we are fulfilling them and we're slowly creating it. And I truly do believe in it. But again, it's backed by hard work. I will always be defined. The three things I like to define for myself is love, loyalty, and hard work. I say it all the time to myself. Those are the first things I thank when I do my gratitude in the morning. Is my foundation is love, loyalty, and hard work ethic. that's what defines me. It's who I am. It's like the three main things. So it was always something that has been something that I think inside of me personally that could help me get to that next point. Like right before maybe I might quit or get up or get frustrated, is I just won't, because I'm persistent and I'll keep working hard. And I think that everyone has that inside of them, like you said earlier. But you have to be able to take those lumps a little bit. You got to be able to get coached. You have to be able to be honest. You have to be self-aware. And you have to be a little vulnerable to go find some people in life too, because we're big with that too, is to find people that are bigger and better than us. I like being the youngest, most unwealthiest, unsuccessful guy in the room, as long as everybody else is bigger and better than me, right? Like, because then I feel like, okay, I'm in the right room right now. I don't need to be the big, like I could be in that room and just listen, ask questions, watch, and learn, right? And I think that is something we've done well too. And we always try to tell the young bucks that we have around us is to go out, have experiences, meet people, ask questions, learn, and listen. You know, listen along the way.
And to close it all up, I believe that the main what it boils down to in our message is that all of these things that we do with hard work in the center of it all leads to action, right? Yep. It leads to you actually taking action in what you do. And then that action that you take is truly your 100%, right? It's truly you giving it your all, and not just saying I'm gonna give my all, but truly giving your all, because you are best prepared by doing all these things along the way and going through all these experiences to take action and just work hard. And you know, we again wanted to hit you with a quick episode today. You know, this weekend we're dropping our episodes on Friday mornings now. Ryan's getting ready to go, nice and edited and uploaded for us the best he can. And again, our main goal is to get our voice to your ears, to the community. And we just will consistently and always remind you to pass it along, whether it's to a son, a daughter, a friend, a family member, a friend, someone that you think just needs a little good energy and a little good vibe and something to put into their weekly routine to listen to. We love connecting with people as well. We do it. We have phone calls weekly. We have different people that we coach or that we connect with in our networks in life and through the Relentless movement. And this is another way for us to do that, for us to outlet and for us to give out and to speak these things out loud and then follow through with them, right? This is a tool that Matt and I put in front of us, but it's also a tool we want it to be a tool for everyone else to utilize, especially within our Relentless community. So share away. Thank you again for always listening and tuning in on Apple Music, on Spotify, on Amazon Music, and you know, if you have a moment to put it on the TV and give us some views on YouTube and check us out and feel the energy that's in our Bradley location here in the room, please do so. So thank you.
Yeah, just keep separating yourself. Hard work ethic always wins. All right, keep doing it the relentless way. Let's keep getting it.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next episode.